hit it in the chat. You need to keep an eye on the chat.
I'll keep an eye on the chat. My eyes are better than his, Chris.
Yeah.
But not for much longer.
Mine are turning into pickled onions because it's late.
We love pickled onions. But now you're back on your page.
What's going on? And we are live. So welcome everybody. We'll give people a few minutes to log in, get settled in, get your glass of wine. We have a really special day today. We are going live with the artists on our MotoDoffo series. This is the first time we've ever done something like this. Joined by my lovely sister Samantha, by the artist of the year, Chris White, who's done all of our MotoDoffo art this year. So if you haven't seen our bottles, check them out, MotoDoffo.com. And I'm sure if you're watching this, you might have joined into the virtual tasting experience. So we're going to go through some of our recent wines and some of the latest developments at the winery. We have a lot going on. We have an action-packed summer. But first, let's let the man himself introduce himself. So Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself and give us a little bit of the story on how you and I met, and I'll give my version of the story too.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Yeah. Hi, I'm Chris White, aka Buzz Visuals. Damian and I hooked up quite by chance, actually, through a mutual friend, Fabian Campos from Denton Moto.
Huge shout out to Fabian.
Yeah. Thank you, Fabian, for mentioning my name to Damian. And Damian contacted me, and from that moment on, I can only speak for myself, but the experience and the creativity that's come from the experience of producing for Doffo Winery has been truly awesome. I live in the UK, west of England, and yeah, that's about it really for the moment. I'm sure you'll know more about me by the time this episode ends.
So I mean, just it's been a really interesting world on how we came together and how I saw your artwork on Fabian's Facebook page, and I loved it. I mean, it was so cool, and so he gave you a shout out, and I kind of clicked through the links, and I think I sent you an Instagram message saying like, hey, this is us, this is our website, this is what we do. And have you ever considered painting a wine label? And it was like right at pandemic, wasn't it, Chris? Like we were, I think it was like February that we started talking, and then I went to Argentina and came back, and the world shut down. So our whole relationship kind of blossomed through the pandemic and the use of What's Up and What's Up Audio, What's Up Video, and we were able to connect, and it was really interesting to be in a creative situation with somebody you've never met before. But I think that today's tasting, and as we get to know Chris over the next hour or so, I think it's going to be really obvious to not only the people that know our brand, but the new people that may be checking this out and listening in, why it was so easy to work with Chris, because you can see, and I say this to everybody I talk to you about, is that you're a total artist, and when you meet a creative or you meet somebody who's so passionate, it just shines through. So your personality and the creative side of you, even when we had to nitpick the artwork, right, or look at it, and there were explanations for things, and you get that explanation and it all makes sense, and then you don't want to mess with the creative. You got to respect the process and create and guide too, so you got to
respect what he's doing.
Totally. But before we get into that, I just want to welcome everybody. If you're just joining us, this is Damian and Samantha. We got Chris White, Buzz Visuals, the artist who's done all the MotoDoffo art this year, and we're going to be trying a couple wines tonight: the Grand Tinto, which is one of our latest MotoDoffo wines, and then the Distinguished Tinto, which is a special wine that we did for the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride that was at the end of May. We participated in the San Diego DGR. So a huge shout out to our boy Peter down in the San Diego Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, and all the chapters across the world that did that.
Chris, real quick, was that like a really on the fly, like, hey, we need to do the DGR, or was this something that you had already had that concept of that particular piece?
I'd worked with Mark Hauer before for the DGR, and I offered my services to help someone who was a fundraiser to interact with the DGR in a more spiritual way. And what happened was, the guy that I ended up painting for was a veteran from the Gulf War, and I never got into the story that he told me, but he'd been pretty shot up, not just physically but mentally and spiritually. And when I did a painting for him, as he was one of the lead fundraisers for this particular category of fundraisers, which is what Mark Hauer and DGR do really well, is they kind of categorize it so it's a fully immersive and inclusive experience for everyone worldwide. So you might only raise $100, but you can still feel part of of a family. So I've worked with this and I did this painting for this guy, and it just really affected him in a really positive way. So I felt like I'd related to not just men's mental health, but also to a person. And what's really neat about it as well is I never knew that guy, but I did something that affected him in a really good way. And it was really random because it was a raffle. He didn't know anything about it. And I kind of like that. I come from a town that's the home of the SAS. And they're like an elite regiment of nutters. And so it's kind of like the SAS for me is it's not special air service. It would be a special arts squad where you could just go in at night. It's weird because it's like 2 a.m. here, so I'm going nighttime here, full night vision, straight into someone's life, affecting them with art, and then getting the fuck out. So it's like, and then I've left my mark, but in a non kind of egoic way. So working with the DGR was brilliant. So I'd already kind of worked with them, and then when Damian said, and Ramsey Saeed, big up to Ramsey, said that they had a meeting together, Damian and Ramsey and Mark. We want to do this wine label. And then a light bulb moment happened, and they both separately mentioned me. So that was really humbling for me. I was honored, really honored to work, not just for Damian and you guys, Sam, and your family, but also for DGR, which I think is, we've all been in dark spaces mentally, and I think the DGR are doing amazing work where they're just connecting people, and it's great. So it's a trinity, isn't it?
I think we should do a cheers to the DGR and huge up to that fundraiser.
Salud, Chris.
What are you drinking over there, Chris? Are you drinking the DGR wine? Let's see. Oh, the Grand Tinto. Good choice.
We're drinking the same thing.
That's actually what we started with, man. So cheers to the DGR. And we'll talk here about the Grand Tinto. But before we get into the wine, I just have to mention to our friends watching out there, a huge shout out to the man that never misses one of our broadcasts, Aaron Teague, numero uno fan. Huge shout out to the Teague family, longtime wine club members. And to our team that's also online, dropping in comments, Gayla, Brian, thank you so much for,
and Mary Ellen,
thank you
also
for never misses a show as well. We got some longtime loyals. COVID's over, but we're still doing our thing online and doing these virtual tastings. And look at Joe Morrell, always on as well. So huge shout out to the team who's hanging out. Eric Collins, good friend of ours. We were just in Baja together, you know, until I blew up my motorcycle training for this next ARMA race. So a couple fun announcements that's going down at the winery. July 24th is our annual cellar sale. So if you've never checked out our cellar sale, it's a great opportunity to come to the winery, try some of the older wines, buy some of the older wines. And then we said, well, if you're going to be hanging out with us, we got to feed you. Right. So we're throwing a huge Argentine barbecue. And if you haven't seen a gaucho barbecue with us, it's absolutely amazing. It's
a lot of food.
Yeah, he's one of our preferred caterers.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, he catered my wedding, and people still talk about the food at the wedding and the party that we threw for my wedding. So
I believe there's still a handful of tickets left for that.
Last call for the tickets.
Yep, if you guys are interested in coming, please get your tickets so that we don't have any people bummed out at the end that they didn't get to come, especially when they start to smell the barbecue, because it'll be cooking all day.
Yeah, it's amazing. The gaucho shows up, say the party starts at 7, he's here at 10, unloading, dropping everything off, he lights the fire, and the ribs go up. First thing he does is he gets that fire going, and he puts the ribs to cook on radiant heat, and he'll slow cook these ribs for 6 to 7 hours with no other condiment but salt. So, and they just fall off the bone. Absolutely amazing. So what'd you think of the Grand Tinto, Chris? I don't know how much you're into wine. What'd you think? Did you like it? Did we do your artwork proud on the label?
When I painted the actual bike, you sent me the photographs, and I saw this. I mean, I love new bikes, don't get me wrong. I love custom builds. I love, but I saw this bike, it's Bultaco, and I just thought, oh my God, it's beautiful. The patina, the color of it. I love vintage colors, and it just hit the mark for me. So what's really neat about it is when I opened the bottle earlier on, it's like I could taste the painting. Does that sound weird? I don't know. I don't think it does. I think it's like, and I'm not being
like that.
That's a new descriptor, but I'll take it.
Yeah. Maybe I could paint, maybe I could do another painting, or paint another version of the Bultaco, but using wine. I don't know. But it's like, it was like the movement of the bike on the label, it was like it was wine. And then I got to taste the wine. And by the way, wine is sublime. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
And it's like, yeah, it's great. This is nuts, because, I'm talking about stuff that I've done, and then I get to taste the product as well. So it's I love it. It's really it's great. I'm just digging it totally.
Great that it got to you, along with your awesome shirt.
We don't know how you got it.
But we asked the folks that might have been traveling over
Something like that.
Something like that.
We shipped some olive oil to our good friend in the UK.
Please,
yeah.
No, it's lovely.
The backstory of the Bultaco, for those of you who don't know or like to hear, there's always a reason a motorcycle ends up on one of the MotoDoffo labels. And this bike has an incredible story. It's an early 60s Bultaco 125, TS125. And the TS was a model. TSS was made specifically for privateer Grand Prix racers. So it's a factory race bike that, the factory Bultaco team, which, kind of a side note, we got to meet the son of Mr. Bulto, which Bultaco is Bulto company, right? So he raced, and he came to race the vintage races, which we're actually leaving for tomorrow morning. We go
In
to
the
our
next,
vintage
we'll
race.
be awake when you're awake too.
Yeah. So we leave for Laguna Seca in a few hours, but we actually got to race against Mr. Juan Bulto Jr. And he brought over a TSS 250. And what was amazing is that he brought the Romero brothers, which were the original Grand Prix mechanics for and so there was like a group of these little old guys.
Oh my God.
Tinkering on this original Bultaco factory bike, and he smoked us. I mean, I could get him off the line, and towards the end of the season, because we raced against each other 3 times, he would just anticipate me getting the whole shot on him, you know, and he's like, I don't know how you do it, but you come around me like a bullet. He's like, I gotta work to get by you, you know, and then once you get by me, the only time I beat him is that they were running the bike so lean to be fast that they detonated, the bike would start detonating, and twice I would be racing. I was in second place, you know, and he'd be gone, and I could smell the hot metal. You know, I'd be on the racetrack and I could smell the hot metal, and I knew I had to push harder, you know. I'm like, oh, his bike's breaking. I'm like, he's melting this thing. I can smell it melting. And I'd put my head down and I'd beat him to the line because he'd be limping. You know, of course, it happened on the last lap. And I remember very specifically, it was really cool. After one race at Sears Point, I go into the garage to talk about after the race and say what's up to the Romero brothers and just say, hey, great racing with you. And I go, you know, I don't feel good about winning this race. You guys broke down. And they stopped what they were doing and jumped up out of there like they were wrenching on the bike. And they stopped what they were doing and say, don't you come over here and apologize. Like, we need to finish the race. Is our race. We lost it. You won it fair and square. Don't you apologize. And I was like, that's cool, you know, because it's absolutely true. You got to finish the race. So, but what's cool about this particular Bultaco is that it was purchased by an American, raced in a Grand Prix in Europe, and then he qualified for the Isle of Man. And he was able to, Phil, the owner, was able to race and compete in the Isle of Man on this motorcycle. Wow. And that is the last time that the bike competed. And so it came back from the Isle of Man and was put away, and it was never cleaned. So the bike has what we call race grime from the Isle of Man, and we don't have the heart to clean the motorcycle. So we've got it running, but we've never even cleaned the race grime off of the bike. So really
when I painted the front fairing, the black area on the front where the number would normally go is when I add texture to my paintings, I use a spray can. And I have to get the pressure right. And then when I hit the front of that fairing, but what you've got to remember is when I'm pressing the nozzle on my spray paint, I have very little control over that. Whereas when I'm using a fine brush, I have total control. Now I hit the nozzle with my finger, and just the right amount of spray came out and hit that front fairing, as if it was meant to be. Yeah, as if the race grime, as if the dust and the scratches had hit that front fairing, you know. So it's things like that the whole kind of patina of and the backstory of the race, you know, especially, you know, the Isle of Man isn't that far away from where I live, you know, literally 200 miles, you know, and you're there. And yeah, well, so it's
we're gonna end up
beautiful.
I'll stay with you.
Yeah, you're always welcome. Yeah, anytime.
Hey, but we travel with wine, so wherever we go, we show up with wine.
And
so.
we're usually
That's good.
at 15.
Yeah. We can sort something out.
You know how us Latinos roll, Chris. We roll real deep.
You invite one, you get the whole family.
I'm down with that. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Yeah.
But the Grand Tinto is a blend of Zinfandel. For those of you asking, we're getting a few comments. Mark Hutchins, thanks for the feedback. Aaron Teague, love the feedback, and I love that you're hanging out with us. Some questions about the cellar sale. Wendy, of course, out-of-state members. We are going to be putting some wines online for you out-of-state members as well. So be on the lookout for your email and keep on track on the social post. And that actually brings me to a really good segue for what I have to mention next. We've just started what we call that Open That Bottle segment. So what we're doing is we're doing an Open That Bottle campaign on our social media. So what I've learned and what the family's kind of, what we feel and how we feel, we get asked all the time, when should I open that bottle? When do I open that bottle? And my dad's response to us, you know, when any time that, you know, my dad or our dad, sorry, we grew up with a very big wine collection at home. You know, my dad had 1,600 bottle cellar at one time before we started making wine. And, you know, I'm going to mention Evo, my dad's best friend, who had a lot to do with the culture and everything that we learned about food and wine. It was always Dad and Evo.
Right.
And one thing that I learned from Dad and Evo growing up is the wine is the occasion.
Yeah. Right.
The fact that you could open that bottle of wine today and share it, you're alive, and being able to experience it with who's ever with, you know, obviously you're going to open a bottle of wine according to who's with you, or, you know, you're not going to open a huge caliber wine and somebody who may not appreciate it, but.
Or drinks it too fast.
Or drinks it too fast, or, you know, the bottled responses is great. It's one of those things that we've learned that the wine is the occasion. The fact that you're able to open and enjoy that incredible bottle of wine, you have to change the way you look at things. And especially after a year like we experienced last year, when sometimes, and it wasn't certain if you were gonna, you know,
get to enjoy a wine the next day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, at one point, everybody was kind of faced with that mortality. And so I feel like this campaign coming out of a pandemic year, it gives it even more steam, right? Enjoy it now, open it now. You've been holding on to it for a decade. Grab somebody you love, you know, and have a glass of wine. Even if you're just sharing it with cheese and, you know, and cold cuts. But you're alive, you're able to do it, and you should go for it.
What do you have in England? Blood sausage?
Crumpets.
Oh, it would be cheese. It would be nice French bread. It would be, yeah, cold cuts, or a good beef curry, slow cooked for about 6 hours. Yeah. Just some nice.
It sounds like you like to throw down in the kitchen, huh?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I love it. Yeah, preparing and, you know, yeah, it's it's great. Yeah.
Nice, with a nice glass of wine, getting into cooking and the flavors, right? It's very much art, I would imagine, being able to, you know, blend and bring things together, and the creative, right?
Yeah, you know.
Are you like the kind that follows recipes, or do you just allow just the inspiration to come, just like in painting, I assume?
I think once you've worked out the herbs or the spices or what you're going to cook, then I freeform it every time. Yeah. I don't like get the cookbook out, and I think that's sort of what I do with my work. Yeah.
I've learned that you can't wing baking.
Yeah.
Baking is a science.
Yeah.
Cooking isn't.
Yeah, cooking.
Yeah.
Baking is a science. So you miss the mark on baking, and your cake sucks. I mean, that's just, that's what it is.
Now you know what he does in spare time.
No, I don't. So getting back to that, open that bottle. So if you have a special bottle of Doffo that you're going to open, and you want to open or you want to participate, we're actually giving away some incredible gift certificates. So there will be a first, second, and third place, and that moment is captured. So you
So
can
they have
post
to
your photo
send
or
it
video. So you got to post a photo or video of you opening that bottle of wine and the occasion. You hashtag the wine is now, and you got to tag Doffo Winery, of course, and we'll select a winner on July 25th. So July 26th, sorry, July 26th is that we're announcing the contest winner. So open that bottle. Social media contest starts now, and we can't wait to see the special occasions and the wines that you're opening.
People who have sent me photos on my personal text, you might want to go back and enter them.
Tag it, repost it.
Because there's some good bottles that I've gotten pictures of.
And if you're
recently.
recycling a post, delete it and repost it.
Yeah.
Right? So a couple other things that we do at the winery. Another thing that we're very excited about is the foodie bundle. We got a foodie bundle coming as we're celebrating coming into harvest.
Tuesday.
Yeah. There's actually a National Meat and Cheese Day coming, or isn't it National Charcuterie Day or something like that? So
the cheese day, yeah.
Yeah, so this month's web exclusive, if you're an online shopper, if you hit our website, we have a bundle: olive oil, balsamic, our 25-star balsamic, which is absolutely incredible, and 2 jars of chimney. And if you're use our online shopping and you all know all about our web points, it's a double points purchase. So if you're into using the web points, the double point purchase there if you go for that. So awesome opportunity to grab some of our culinary favorites out of the online shop there. So
we ship to England.
did we send you chimichurri in the box?
No, you sent me some wine.
I got one. Hey, I didn't send you anything, sir. I don't know. Some wine arrived to you mysteriously.
Yeah, we got the wine. I think we were both surprised that it arrived safely and not opened by Royal Mail or whoever was carrying it over.
The Royals.
Yeah. But it said olive oil on the box, and I thought, oh, olive oil. No. So maybe that's another story in the future. We can get some olive oil. Yeah.
Let's pass the statute of limitations on.
Yeah.
Some olive oil and our chimichurri. I don't know if you guys are, well, are there any Argentinian restaurants in your area? No?
We've got what's interesting is you've got Hereford cattle, because I live in a town called Hereford, and if you go to Dallas, for example, there's obviously big connection with Hereford cattle, Hereford beef, and Texas, and in fact there's a famous barbecue brisket stroke beef place in Dallas where they've got a big ceramic tiled mosaic of a Hereford bull with Hereford written on it. So the kind of beef connection is quite and then obviously Argentina and cows, cattle,
So I have to ask because are you a fan of football?
Yep. The glorious game.
Is your team? Who's your team?
England.
Well, okay.
No.
Which way?
Too many
What
clubs.
about the other team?
No, club team, not national team.
Oh, it would be Chelsea.
Okay.
It's like liking the Red.
Is that acceptable?
It's like liking the Yankees, pretty much.
What are you? What are you? Are you Chelsea or you're Spurs or are you Man United or Arsenal?
I'm a MotoGP fan, so
right.
My British team is Arsenal.
Oh right, yeah, okay.
Yeah. My national team is Argentina, followed by the US.
Right.
Our national club team in Argentina we're a house divided over here because we have some Boca, fans in the family, some Mules, some Rosario, some Racing.
Right.
We're all over the place. We're all over the place.
But mostly MotoGP.
Yeah, but
So-
mostly we don't like Manchester.
Yeah.
You don't? Okay.
The hooligans. Big shout out to Rolling Sands and the hooligans crew.
Yeah.
Right. So let's move on to wine number 2. For those of you doing the virtual tasting with us, we're going to move on to the second wine here, which is the Distinguished Gentleman's Distinguished Tinto. What was actually fun. So for those of you who don't know, or some of you just joining on, all of the MotoDoffo wines, if you abbreviate the names of the wines, right? They all fall into classic motorcycle branding. So for example, MotoDoffo Super Tinto, ST, typically sport touring. Grand Tinto, GT, Grand Touring. Royal Tinto, RT, which I have no idea what RT stands for, but it's
Something touring.
It's Royal Touring.
Just excuse me 1 minute. I'll be right back.
Oh, he's looking at
And we've bored him. And then the Distinguished Tinto DT, which I know Yamaha had a DT, but it all kind of works. The Distinguished Tinto was a fun one that we did, but it's a special blend that we put together. Ladies first.
So this is GT still.
Yeah, you gotta down the hatch. We gotta go.
We gotta
racing.
drive tomorrow.
Yeah, we gotta go
race.
racing tomorrow, so we gotta.
At least it's gonna be cooler at Laguna Seca, so.
Super excited. So this is a special blend at the Petit Syrah blend. So with all MotoDoffo wines, they are all 100% blend. And we put this one together specifically for the Distinguished Tinto. We were able to get ahead, with the knowing that this wine was a possibility. We put together a special blend. So it's a Petit Syrah. It does have a little bit of Malbec, which is kind of like our Salute, but we added an extra little varietal in there. So it's completely different than.
So it's distinguished.
It's distinguished. It has a little extra, but as always, I like to keep some stuff tight to the cups. So don't necessarily have to share what's in it as long as it's delicious. So, right, Aaron?
As long as we share it with.
Exactly. So, salute everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight on one of our MotoDoffo lives. Joined here by Chris White, Buzz Visuals, the artist who made all of these incredible labels for us this year. And
Chris, have you tried the other one, or did you only open the Grand Tinto tonight?
I went to what's really interesting about the quote which I've written down, which I will hold dear. The wine is the occasion. I went to see my brother who lives in Glastonbury, and I took. He's been really helpful with back in the early days when I didn't have very much money and I was trying to establish myself with painting and art. He really helped me out with being supportive and even paid for a flight to Dallas to quite a very important invitation to be part of the opening of the Haas Motorcycle Museum. And Bobby Haas warmly, welcomed us, and it was such a beautiful experience. And I could have robbed a small bank to find the money to fly to Dallas, but my brother, just lovingly said, "Look, I'll cover that." So I took that bottle when I went to see him last week, and I just said, "I want you to have this bottle," because I just felt I wanted to do that, just as a gesture of love and reciprocation. And it was a kind of rounding of a nice little story for me, because I like life like that, full of meaning and impact, and celebration. So I haven't, that's where the bottle is now. We didn't open it because, going back to that beautiful quote, the wine is the occasion, my brother felt that he wanted to save that wine for something that he ended up showing to a friend of his. Hey, my brother did this, and he was really proud of the fact that I'd done it. And so and if I'd have known that, what you said, Damian, earlier on, from what you've been encouraged to think about, it's the moment, isn't it? It's that beautiful moment that we often fail to recognize. And so if I wouldn't want a time machine, I wouldn't want to go back in time and change the past, because the past is the past. But it would have been nice to have just said, look, get a corkscrew, open that wine, and we could have, rounded that occasion off in a really lovely way. But it's great he's got it.
How about this? I'll send you some more olive oil and you can have that moment.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
You make the moment. You make the moment. Recreate the magic.
Yeah. But I will definitely. They say that artists are magpies. Have you ever heard that?
The artist is what? I'm sorry?
An artist is like a magpie.
Oh, never heard that.
No.
A magpie bird, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, the magpie will go and take shiny things that they like. They don't know the actual function of that shiny thing. They just like it. And what they do with those shiny things can be jewelry, they can be tin foil, silver spoons, all sorts of things. And they adorn their nests with them.
Right.
So they're young. They're young can, it's like a celebration of young of birth. So it's like I'm a bit of a magpie with regard to seeing things that I find I can really relate to, like quotes like that, whether the people listening to me whittling on actually can agree with me, and this be interesting if it was in the comments, that what you guys are doing, that whether you realize what you're doing, and I hope you do, but part of me knows you don't, but the people watching this know how special you guys are for what you're doing, because you're making what you make from love and from family and from connectivity, and the motorcycle is part of that. It's wonderful. You guys are amazing. Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you.
I'll drink to that.
Yeah.
I'll drink to that.
Absolutely.
And to the distinguished gentleman's ride and distinguished Tinto.
And we have a comment from a wine club member that she loves that a fellow Englishman is the artist to this year's labels.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, although she didn't want to come watch the game with us. It's okay, Karen. It's okay, Karen. And your son no longer works here, and we miss him dearly. We miss that English wit. Big shout out to our boy Jack, who's moved on and is flourishing his career. So you've done good with that one, Karen. We miss him. Chris, the distinguished Tinto label is truly amazing, and on the back label,
oh, it's my favorite part.
That your art is wound. I think I kind of want to get people to hear one, the medium that you choose to use, because it's not because I have your originals here, and even showing them on the camera doesn't do it justice to the medium that you use as your background for the paintings, and then also the geometric shape integration, and then also if you could touch on the back label of the distinguished Tinto and what that, because that was a lot of artistic freedom there, and it was something different than any other label that we produced in the series.
Yeah.
So if you could touch briefly on the medium and also the back label of the DJR, and for those of you who haven't seen it, we're going to try to show it here. It's going to be a little bit tough, but if you can see that, and if you can't read it clearly, you got to come buy a bottle and check it out for yourself.
Yeah.
And the
And
proceeds do go to the Movember Foundation. So
right. And I think we touched upon it when we did the DGR live, where we were just all so happy about how it was so integrated and all of the different,
Peter,
emotions and just, things that people like experience through life in general, even in the last year, how things have just kind of evolved for everyone. And,
Yeah.
And it was
The people,
cool
I
concept.
think for me, my love for finding things, maybe the magpie again, is old things that have no longer have any value, but once did have a value. And if they could speak, these are bits of paper from old books. The older the better. I've got a friend that does house clearances, so people who've died, where a lot of their families don't really care anymore, and just leave it to a group of guys to empty a house and sort everything out. So I get my hands on old books that are 150 years old,
Wow.
and then I get, and they've usually gone moldy, or they're no longer of any value. So what I like to do is
have that distinct smell.
yeah. So I like to take some of the lining pages, which are usually relatively undamaged, and I tear those out and I use those within my collages, I suppose, but I like to call them assemblages, more like the assembling of a motorbike, for example, how the engine's built, how the components work together. So there's this quest for finding old things that I can glue down onto my surfaces to then paint over, which I use acrylic paint, pencil, graphite. I multi-layer because I like that layering of time, layering of stories, layering of lives. We've all got stories. We've all got things that we would like to hide, that we don't want people to know about. There's a dark side to every one of us, and there's also a light side to every one of us. So I like that. I like that drama that is part of everyone's life. And so that's what I try and incorporate into my work. Not every piece, but especially the Doffo pieces. I felt I wanted to. With the geometric shapes, I find that everything's cyclical, everything goes round, whether it be the seasons, whether it be the wheels behind you on that motorbike, the pistons up and down. Remembering pistons go up and down, but also travel horizontally. So you've got that linear movement. And then also what was the last one I need to touch on? Oh yeah, the back label. The back label is Damian again. You gave me the opportunity to show a part of me that I've been wanting to show for many, many years, in that you can paint an artwork, and it can most of the great art in the world has no name to it, has no descriptor next to it. You can just look at it and you can just meditate on it. So you can get whatever you want from it. I like any of my paintings need a good half hour of looking at, and then a lot of my clients or collectors say 6 months into them owning a painting or seeing a painting, they can see things they've not seen before. Now with the wine labels, it's obviously a smaller scale, but if you look at the originals were done like 8 times the size, and I needed to do them that size so that when they were cameraed down to the label size, they'd look tight, like looking at a map on an iPhone compared to a full opened map.
Right.
With the back label, I needed to get inside initially my head, but the DGR head, and then everybody's head, because those people who've seen the back label, that's you, that is, and that's every quirk, that's every foible, that's every fuck up, that's every celebration, that's everything. That's you, that is. And if you look at that, then you can see yourself. And I don't want to start messing around with people's heads, but I think if you know me, then you'll know that I will be supportive, I will care, I will give you my best, but I also have my misgivings, you know. And I think that especially when it connected with the DGR, that a lot of the people who are fundraisers or who are part or just riders for the DGR, they've got problems, they've got a dark side, they've got a light side, and I just wanted to be that person that kind of knocked on their forehead and said, that's you, that is. And then you're not alone, you're with a million other people who feel the same way, because we all wear masks, right? And we shouldn't. We should demask, unless you're in Venice at a ball, then you wear a mask, all right? But don't wear a mask, because there's no point, because it's just ego.
I agree. I think that there's something on there for everyone, you know?
Yeah, that label resonates
like,
with everybody.
everybody,
sure.
like, when you look at it once, maybe something pops out, and then the next time something else.
I felt like when you look at it, maybe one word strikes, and it depends on
where you are,
the context that you're in, or that you're living in that moment. And then you see it in a different time, or you open the, you go to open that bottle in a different moment, or you look at the artwork in a different time, and a different word pops out at it, and it resonates again on a different set of emotions or a different state of mind. So I
might
felt,
make it a t-shirt.
I think it would be good just to also see it as the brain, in the various hemispheres of the brain, and that we compartmentalize a lot of things in our life, don't we?
Right.
So what I've tried to do is, put in the past, I've used the geometric shapes, especially with the back labels of the other bottles for the Doffo Winery. They've got nothing inside them, they're just circles. And I can, I could do a 10-hour live streaming event explaining everything about what I do and be quite happy doing it. But I think with the geometric shapes that have no words in them, it would have been nice to have said, okay, and this is what I said to myself, I'm going to do a piece of work that actually takes all those sections and I'm going to put words into them, and in Photoshop, you can add text to a curve. This is for you techie geeks out there, is if you can add text to a curve, and it's something that many years ago I could do quite easily, but I'd forgotten how to do it. So I nearly went insane trying to create curves to put all those words in. So again, it's it
hits home. Some of those words were part of the process.
yeah.
Right? I mean, it's amazing. So if you haven't checked out the Distinguished Tinto, it's available online. It's available in our tasting room. Come down, check it out, taste it, and figure out what we're talking about and see which words ring out to you and resonate to you. So
you take a one word every day and just meditate on it. Not sit in a field half naked and go on. Just
Have a glass of wine, stare at the wall.
just take one word and do it in the morning. Take one word, and on your way to work or in wherever you're working or whatever you're doing, just dwell on that word, but dwell on it in an interesting way. And I think that's another interesting thing that, again,
what's wrong with drinking wine half naked and meditating
and Omi
and Omi
whilst driving to work?
We got a yogi right here, dude. You never know, it might have already happened.
What's wrong with Omi? Out loud.
She does want a gong. She's trying to convince us to figure out how we can write off a gong as a company expense.
I think that a gong bath for the whole team would be amazing.
Do it.
All these words would be coming off of, the energy that they're feeling in the room.
Yeah. But I just want to thank you again for joining us. I know that across the pond, it's probably almost 3 a.m. now, and hanging tough for us while we're doing our Wine Wednesday and our virtual tasting. I can't thank you enough, but we just talked about the distinguished Tinto with that lovely Triumph, and huge shout out to Triumph Motorcycles for sponsoring tremendous in a tremendous way the DGR. And we had to have the classic Triumph, and I think we both spoke about what we wanted to depict, and it had to have the side cover, that classic triangular shaped side cover on the label. But
I read an interesting. Can I just butt in there? I read an interesting thing earlier on about that particular engine. In that Edward Turner, who designed the Speed Twin, it was the first engine where both pistons moved up and down together. So if you see those pistons as people, they actually work in sync with each other. And again, my next podcast, which is 3 weeks long and it's in a month's time, it will all be about the motorcycle and its relationship to the human being. So tune in
for the next podcast. It's only 175 hours long, and you can listen to
it. Zen and the inner chimp.
But I wanted to kind of touch on something that we do here at MotoDoffo, which is that we use the motorcycles, and we use the passion for motorcycle and the passion that is so alive in the motorcycle community. I mean, in the wine community, there's passion, but it's not palpable like it is in the motorcycle community. When you are part of the motorcycle community, there's a passion through and through. And we feel so grateful that the motorcycle community has really embraced us, because we're part of the community. We ride, we restore, we race, we love everything about it. And we love, something about the old bikes is that they have a soul, they have a story. And for us to race, our motorcycles that we race and compete on, they're 60 plus years old. They were never designed to do what they do. And at the end of the race,
they fall apart.
No, sometimes if you're hard on the equipment, but at the end of the race, I find myself enamored with the bike, and you just look down at this little motorcycle, this little 200cc Honda that was never designed to do what it do. And you just ran it through its paces, 12,000 RPM, full pin, and it's alive and it won a race, and you have a relationship. Or you come, hey, but you have to battle for last. She had a great race with penultimate. Her and the penultimate gal were giving each other hell. So they're doing
I'm looking forward to the next meetup.
Yeah. I'm aiming for penultimate.
I'm aiming for 23 racers, 22 would be great.
Yeah.
Wow.
22 finish. So, yeah. But getting back to the philanthropic side, of what we do, I have to briefly mention the artwork that we did for the Caselli. You know, I feel that the artwork, so we chose to use an old Roland Sands bike and for the Caselli label, and it was the first bike that was made for the Caselli Foundation. You know, so after Kurt passed away, they did a day in the dirt, and the bike was actually made for a day in the dirt, and they took a new KTM and he made it look retro. And the bike was actually won in an auction by Kurt's teammate's father. So the bike's actually in Mexico at the moment. With the Ramirez family. But here's the artwork. If you guys haven't had a chance to see the artwork for the Caselli Foundation, and I bring this up because we just did the Kurt Caselli Foundation fundraiser. It was our 7th annual fundraiser. And the original piece of art was auctioned off with a 6-liter bottle, and it raised over $4,000. The artwork and the bottle raised over $4,000 for the cause. But in that afternoon, the press release was just released 2 days ago, and we raised over $50,000 in that afternoon for our foundation. So huge shout out to the Caselli Foundation, to KTM, Red Bull, FMF. The foundation is like family to us, and we're so honored to be a part of it. But there was a secret little story between you and I, Chris, that not a lot of people know about. And so I want to share that if we could.
The debut.
So this is the label that didn't make it. And there's a funny story with this. So we've had this framed up. This is the other original piece. I get when we commissioned Chris to do some of the artwork, we said, hey, Chris, we're going to do a label for the Caselli Foundation, and this is going to be the bike. And I sent them the photos. And then Chris got to work, and, a few weeks later, I get an email saying, hey, this is the label. And I grabbed the artwork and super excited. We started dropping it onto our template, and the orientation wasn't working, the horizontal orientation, and we have run vertical labels, so the wheel was getting cut off, and I felt like we were losing too much of the artwork. So I asked Chris, I'm like, was there any way you can maybe Photoshop? And he's, and he looks at me, and obviously over FaceTime, he goes, it's already painted, man. There is no adjusting this thing. It is what it is. It's made. And so we decided together to have another one made. So I ended up with the other one.
The first original.
The first original, which I'm actually super honored to have. And
there's another there's another vignette to add to that. You see that fluorescent orange piece of paper?
Yeah.
I walked past that twice in the street before I went back and picked it up.
Oh, that's cool.
Really?
Because and this is, I kind of like, I'll go for walks with my dog, and I'll see things on the pavement sidewalk, and then I'll sort of go, well,
hey, that would be really good for my artwork.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
you're almost like a hoarder, kind of.
And I don't steal things though, so your shit's safe with me. Yeah, I think it's just that things that attract you, and you sort of say, well, I want that. I had a piece of paper in a box that I've got all these old papers, and I had a piece of paper that was, I think I'd had it for 10 years before I thought, I'm going to use that one day, but I don't know what I'm going to use it for. So I don't keep everything like that. Like my house isn't like a mess, but there's certain things that I will keep and be astute enough to say, well, I'll use that one day. And that was one of those, that fluorescent piece of orange paper. Every piece of paper that I put in my work, I can tell you where it comes from as well.
That's great.
That's
And
awesome.
it has a story.
Yeah.
Everything has a
Oh,
story to tell.
I really like how you see it through the hole in the frame too. It's kind of tough to see there, but that little glimpse behind that engine case is just killer too.
Yeah,
Because
it
it
just
really
gives it depth.
the dimension on the bike too.
Yeah.
It feels like it's popping off the page there.
I've painted over things that have taken me, like the DGR label. Underneath the Triumph is probably a day's worth of painting that I wasn't sure what would be visible once I'd painted the engine over the top of it. But I don't mind taking that risk, because you could scratch back, or maybe through time, on the original, you'd be able to see what it's
back there.
anything essentially will decay in time, whether it be through wear and tear or the elements, whatever, and we do as well. And I kind of like that, so that's why I multi-layer my work, because it's all, there's understories, there's backstories, there's depth, and that's like us, isn't it?
And really, that hits home for me as a winemaker. And I always tell people I layer the wines, and it's hard for people to understand that that concept, because they don't understand how do you layer a wine. And it's very simple. We use different barrels and different ages of barrels, and then that's part of my creative, is being able to understand how to develop a wine and how to layer the wine and be able to taste it and say, you know what, I need a little bit more here, I need a little bit more there. And within that same varietal but different barrel groups, be able to pick out, oh, well, I need a little bit more from this barrel group, or oh, you know what, this barrel group is making the wine go too much in this direction, I'm gonna, and that's why, in speaking with you in the first couple conversations I had, I knew that we were going to work great together, because I could recognize the creative process and I could appreciate it. And speaking, that's why, and even this live, for those of the people that hung in with us for this hour to get to know our brand and your brand and what we're all about, and understand our creative processes. I'm so happy that we're able to do this, because I know that we talked about this several months ago, and for it to come together and for us to see a complete series, with the last one coming out in September. So there will be one more live opportunity that we can talk about wines, and it will be in the middle of harvest or post-harvest for us. So after the madness of what we do here at the winery.
We should do it from his house.
Oh, we can do it from your house.
Hey, you're more than welcome. Honest, there's no room to sleep, but we don't need to sleep.
It'll be just me.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, you just I'll give you the address. You're always welcome. I mean that.
Go bring the olive oil.
Yeah.
More olive oil for everybody. But Chris, I just wanted to say thank you again. We really appreciate all the incredible work that you've done for our wine label and for our family. And we're so happy that you're a part of the legacy of MotoDoffo, and the artwork will go on, and we're going to proudly put up all the originals around the winery. This one goes in my office though. This one's
there's no room in here.
There's definitely right there. It's going to go right there. So
well, no, it's been a real honor, and the journey's been incredible. and we get to raise a glass at the end of it as well, which I think is really sweet. So love and light to you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it, man, and thank you all of our fans and wine club members, the Teagues, everybody. Yeah, the Teagues still hanging tough. Salud, Chris. We'll see you here, man. We're waiting for you here. We'll have
that'd be super great. Yeah.
Have some Argentinian barbecue.
Yeah.
Oh man,
We won't talk about the Falklands once. I promise. We're not gonna.
Or Maradona.
or this last Euro Cup. To lose the Euro Cup and the PKs, that hurts a little.
Or Arsene Wenger.
Hey, Chris, again, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Cheers to all of our wine club members still hanging in. I hope you guys enjoyed the wine. I hope you enjoyed getting to know Chris and the story behind these magical wines and this incredible art label. So
be sure to check out Chris on Instagram at Buzz Visuals. And obviously you guys know our Instagram, but if you don't, MotoDoffo Collection.
Hashtag the wine is now. The wine is now. Open those bottles, enjoy, share with the loved ones.
And, MotoGP starts again August 8th. If you guys were wondering, there was a hiatus. We all were confused, but it's coming back.
Who was confused? Summer break.
It was on the calendar, so people were coming anyway.
Yeah, they're back-to-back. Ducati's going to win at the Red Bull Ring. So huge shout out to the Bologna missiles that are going to be super strong at the Red Bull Ring. What's funny is that we actually have KTM sponsoring one of the MotoGP rounds in Austria, but it looks like it's Ducati super favored to be at the track. So we'll see what KTM can pull out of their hat at the Red Bull Ring in this upcoming MotoGP round. So do you watch MotoGP, Chris?
Yep.
So who do you think is going to win the championship?
I don't know.
Do you miss Crutchlow?
No, was it? I've not watched it for a while. The last time I watched it, this is where everyone switches off now. Do you realise? Was it the number 76?
76.
Who was the Italian guy? This is where I get it really wrong, you see.
46. Rossi.
Huh?
Rossi, number 46.
Yeah, there you go. Shows how much I know about freaking MotoGP, doesn't it? Yeah.
So stick to picking up pieces of paper on the sidewalk.
Yeah. Got any spare change?
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again. Thank you, everybody. You guys have a wonderful night. And we'll catch you July 23rd before our cellar sale. We're going live to do a preview of the cellar sale with my dad as we walk around, drink some of the library wines. If you haven't got a reservation, make a reservation for the 24th. Come check out the cellar sale. Get a ticket for the barbecue. You will not regret it. Cheers, everybody. Stay safe.
Salud.
Salud. Thanks, Chris.
Cheers.
Go to bed now.
Now go to sleep, buddy. Finish that glass and go to sleep, my friend.